Number 9, hot take as fuck, hot take. I'm going with the 76ers. Number 9. I'm going with the
Whoa,
76ers.
9?
Yes. This drama
Tell me why.
this drama is going to seriously implode on them.
Always a great time to cut the nets, fellas.
We're going to talk about and our predictions of the Eastern Conference standings of the 2023-2024 NBA season. You guys ready? Who wants to start? Who wants to start?
Brian does.
So, Brian, we're going to go through, for context, viewers, we're going to go from 15 through 11, and then all three of us, and then we're going to talk about 15 through 11, and then all three of us will go down to 10 and 6. All three of us will talk about 10 and 6, and so on. We're just doing the Eastern Conference. Western Conference will be next week. All right, guys, without further ado, let's get into it. Brian, let's see your Eastern Conference predictions, 15 through 11.
Yep, so at number 15, the worst team in the Eastern Conference, I got the Charlotte Hornets. The highlight of their offseason was Michael Jordan selling the team. That is the only thing. And I'm a UNC fan, so I love Michael Jordan. Great player, greatest of all time. Awful owner. He was awful. The team saw no improvements. They drafted Brandon Miller second overall. That might even make a mistake besides leading the league in assists, and not the ones in basketball. But yeah, I just think Charlotte. Now the green light went on there.
I forgot about that.
But I just don't see the direction with this team. They're bringing in then to compete with Brandon Miller, who should have the starting job automatically as a second overall pick, but they're bringing in Gordon Hayward. Then they brought back Miles Bridges. He hasn't played basketball in over a year. How is he going to look? I don't know. I just think LaMelo Ball is the next Kemba Walker set up to fail with no one around him. So I just got Charlotte last in the Eastern Conference. Number 14, I got the Detroit Pistons. Sure, they got Monty Williams. Great coach. I can maybe just trust the process. I can trust the Monty effect. But I just think what Detroit is going to be, or what they're set up to be, is like the past Charlotte Hornets they're just the kings of mediocrity. I mean, Cade Cunningham hasn't looked like the superstar I thought he was going to be. Listen, everything with now much better coaching staff and Monty Williams and a young roster, maybe they can make the jump every year in sports, every year in basketball. There's always one or two teams that surprise you out of nowhere. The Detroit Pistons could be that team, but just for right now. And then Cade Cunningham only played 12 games last year, but like even his rookie year, nothing really too promising. So maybe they could be the team that surprises me, but I don't think they're ready to surprise me just yet. Number 13, I got the Washington Wizards. I mean, Jeremy, when the Jordan Poole trade broke, we were looking at their roster. A lot of no names on that team, but I don't think they're going to be as bad as people think. I mean, Jordan Poole is still going to be good. He could potentially be an all-star. He's still young. They got Corey Kispert, who I also like. Like, sure, their overall roster is kind of a joke, but there's some low-key pieces in there, some diamonds in the rough there. I think they're going to be a little better than people think. Still not in the playoffs and not close to the playoffs, but I think they're going to improve. Number 12, I got the Chicago Bulls. I only have them at – it could be a hot take, I know, but I just have them at 12 because I think they're going to get to February or right before February when the trade deadline approaches. They're not going to be near a winning season, and I think Chicago, their front office is going to take a look, and they're finally going to do what they should have done this year and they should have this past season. They should have done the year before that, is just finally implode, and I think they get rid of DeRozan, maybe even Levine, maybe even Vucevic, and they just finally start a rebuild or retool, whatever you want to call it. The Bulls were a 1 seed at one point, and then Lonzo Ball got hurt, and then they dropped drastically. He might never play basketball again, it's sad to see. And he was kind of the anchor of that team because Levine, great player, borderline superstar. DeRozan, very good, but he's declining. And Vucevic, who's a good offensive center, but he's a liability defensively. Lonzo Ball at 6'6" as a point guard, was a great defender and just He's a good playmaker, so you kind of held the glue to that team together. You take away him, and that's kind of why Chicago drastically imploded. And I think now they just kind of just reset because there's nothing really to do to salvage that team. So number 11, the last part of my 15 through 11, just missing the play-in is I got the Toronto Raptors. Also, could be a hot take. I had to actually fix my list because I was like looking it over, kind of like what Jeremy said about the Western Conference off tape. But I had to fix this. I don't think the Raptors are going to be in the play-in. They lost Fred VanVleet to Jeremy's Rockets. I kind of think that's they could be a downgrade in that regard. But I think the biggest reason, because then some people could say, and if you guys disagree with me, you'll say they're good enough because of Pascal Siakam, Scotty Barnes, and OG Anunoby, which is fair. They're all three good young players, especially Scotty Barnes. I mean, he's like super young. But my counter to that is how much of that is actual talent compared to coaching? Because Nick Nurse, who I think is a top 5 coach in basketball, top 10, like arguably top 5, definitively top 10 in my opinion. And now he left and he's the coach of the 76ers. So I think obviously like Siakam, like I think he's just insanely good. But I think those other guys could just be a product of insanely good coaching. And now that you lose Nick Nurse, I don't think they're going to be as good. So I got them at 11. So that's my 15 through 11 in the East.
Interesting that you have the Bulls so low. You just think you're just gonna implode and just retool, rebuild at the trade deadline.
Because I mean, what's the point if you're gonna be like, unless they start out super hot and they're trending towards a playoff spot. My thing is in basketball with how young and how much better the East has been. I mean, especially after this trade today. Now the East just got way better. It's like at one point, like in the NBA, you kind of either got to go like this or you got to go like that. You don't gain anything being like this because then it's like you're not good enough to make the playoffs and then you're not bad enough to be a top pick. So I feel like you got to do something, whether it's be better or be worse. I feel like staying there doesn't really do anything. And since unfortunately Lonzo got hurt, they've kind of gotten worse, but not worse enough to be able to get better, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully Javon Carter can save their team.
Hometown hero Javon Carter.
All right. I guess I'll go ahead and do my 15 through 11. So my 15th, the worst team in the East, I'm going to go with, even though that they got a new coach, the Pistons, Detroit Pistons. They're going to be number 15th again. They lost the NBA draft. I mean, they got all the way down to the 5th pick and got Oscar Thompson. Not saying he's a terrible player, but he's not as facilitation-wise enough. He's more of a shooter compared to his brother, who's on the Rockets. And they didn't get what they wanted to get as a top 3 pick, either Scoot, Miller, or Wemby. And yeah, I think that another good coach is there, but I just feel like they're really not there to just win games. I feel like they're there to just keep on, either tanking or keep on developing young players. Hopefully, Cade Cunningham doesn't get injured again. I like what I'm seeing with see if James Wiseman actually makes an appearance. Does James Wiseman do anything? I don't know. I mean, what about Jaden Ivey? Is he going to be the scorer that most people thought he would be? So I just got no interest in seeing this team improve. I have no confidence in this team. I really don't. I just don't think that they're going to be as they're going to be better or I think they're just going to be just as bad as they were last year and be in the lottery. Number 14, I got the Washington Wizards. So Kuzma and Poole are going to be the 2 main scorers on the Wizards. Defense, where's it at? Non-existent. I don't see it happening. Here's why. They don't have anybody. When they gave away Kristaps Porzingis, when they gave away just a bunch of players that turned into has-beens. The only player I'm really looking forward to seeing is Bilal Coulibaly, which is the teammate of Wembanyama, and Tyus Jones, who is also on no man's land, who shouldn't be there, because Tyus Jones is a capable starting point guard. But again, they're just going to be all show offense-wise with Jordan Poole's points. I'm honestly saying that they might be trading away Jordan Poole because he's going to have like a great offensive season into the first half, and then he'll be a trade piece. That's just my guess for the Wizards. The Wizards are going into 14th. I really feel like they'll be the 14th seed because of all those reasons. 13th, I'm going with the Charlotte Hornets. Charlotte Hornets, you're doing a little bit better. You lost. Well, you lost. It's a gain, definitely. You gained by Michael Jordan not being a part of your team anymore. Thank God. I mean, now you're having new ownership. You guys are out of Michael Jordan's shadow, because the thing that Michael Jordan cannot do is make players better when he's not playing. Especially when they're young players. Back when he was on the Bulls, he didn't have to do. He was good at that, but whenever he's like, the old guy, and he's just not good at like owning a team. He's had a horrible post career in terms of like owning a team, or in terms of just gambling and betting and stuff. So that's out of the picture. You got Brandon Miller, who I think is going to be a nice little addition, complementing LaMelo Ball. And I feel like LaMelo Ball, if he stays healthy, I feel like the Hornets will be better than they were last season. But just the 13th seed, because they don't really have much. Again, Miles Bridges, who again hasn't played for over a year, they signed him. They brought him back, because, even though they had the off the court issue. I just don't really see this team getting any better than they are, but maybe have an improvement, a slight improvement this upcoming season with if they stay healthy, LaMelo Ball specifically. 12th seed, I got the Bulls too, Brian. I got the Bulls too. I see what you're seeing. I do, because they have been awful without Lonzo Ball. Awful. DeMar DeRozan can't do anything. DeMar DeRozan can't do anything defensively. He can only shoot the mid-range, and he's only getting older, okay? You got Zach LaVine, who doesn't really seem to care about playing on this team. Should be a trade piece. I feel like he'd be great on other teams. Nikola Vucevic, who is a defensive liability, but can really get you a lot of points per game, but that's really all they can do. There's really no like X factor player for this team, and that's why I feel like they'll lose their steam after 2 or 3 months, blow the team up because they realize this mid three right here is not really working, just blow everything up. Patrick Williams will probably be the focal point. It's just my guess. But yeah, Bulls, it's time to rebuild. 11th, I've got the Orlando Magic. So I'm really high on this team, but I feel like they're just a player or two away from making the play-in, and also experience away from making the play-in. I feel like Paolo Banchero is going to be the next All-Star, the next franchise player, Rookie of the Year. I like his play. Franz Wagner is a really good player. You also got Wendell Carter Jr., who's also not too terrible either. I think that this could be a formidable team in the next coming years. It's just not their year yet to make the play-in, let alone to the playoffs. I feel like it's just not there yet. They gotta play more together. They gotta grow together. And I'm interested to see what Anthony Black can do too with his offense from college. So Magic 11 seed can be a really fun team to watch. Thoughts?
All right. A lot of Bulls hatred going on right now.
You're not a Bulls fan.
Is it warranted? Yes, and I would agree with it. I'm not a Bulls fan, but I write for the Bulls. So I have some stuff to say about them. So, you have to stick around to see where I put them in the countdown.
Yeah, okay.
All right. So, 15th in the Eastern Conference, Charlotte Hornets.
Damn.
I'm going to keep a lot of these brief because a lot of these teams are same to what Jeremy and Brian said, and a lot of the talking points will be the same. But I'll say this for Charlotte: this organization has been a dumpster fire, top to bottom. It was with Michael Jordan. I think it will still continue to be without him at least the next couple of years while they try to clean up the mess that the GOAT MJ has left for them. Brian compared LaMelo Ball to Kemba Walker earlier, and it seems like that's going to be the case. I don't think there's really, they have a couple guys to look forward to. The return of Miles Bridges, Brandon Miller. But I don't see them putting it all together. I mean, they were just downright awful at stretches, miserable on both ends of the court. I don't see them putting anything special together this year, especially not in a very competitive. I mean, both conferences are competitive, but I think there's a good solid group of teams in the East that are like up at the top. Charlotte is definitely not one of them. I would be shocked if they eclipse 25 wins this season. Moving on, 14, I will go with the Washington Wizards. While I think that they did make some good moves in the offseason to try and like shake up their roster to try and I guess kind of move on from the whole Beal thing, and Kristaps Porzingis isn't there, but they have Jordan Poole, they have Kyle Kuzma. At the same time, I am curious to see how good Jordan Poole is when he's not being a product of the Steve Kerr Golden State Warriors offense. While he has, he has the pure talent and just balls, I guess, to chuck up the 30-footers that will go in. I'm sure Curry taught him well and stuff. But that's not a sustainable brand of basketball if you're not with other guys that can really elevate your game to that level. And Jeremy, you kind of said before, what the hell's a defense? Who's playing defense on that team? At least in the front court, yeah. I'm looking for it too, dude. I think it's long gone. Yeah,
I don't see anything.
Yeah, no, it'd be like trotting me out there to throw me in the post against like somebody who's a foot taller than me. That's just not going to work. So
bring back Roy
sorry,
Hibbert.
Washington, still not your year. Bring back, the GOAT, Roy Hibbert, dude.
Bring back Marcin Gortat.
Oh,
Wizards legend.
Actually,
write that down for Immaculate Grid.
I low-key fuck with Marcin Gortat. I think he's a good player.
I like him a lot, actually. Yeah, he's gritty.
Yeah.
You like seeing that.
Yeah, he had a good career.
All right, 13th seed. I will go with Detroit. I do have faith in them this year. I mean, not faith to make a play-in spot, but I do have faith that they're going to make an improvement this year. I would like to see Cade Cunningham healthy for a lot more games this year. And him and Jaden Ivey, I trust. Meyer kind of mentioned before, they're kind of like the East Coast Rockets. A lot of young pieces. How are they going to play together? They are led by who's coaching there?
Monty Williams.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I knew I was
highest paid coach in NBA
they're led by a
history.
great coach, which is crazy because this is his first year coming into a team that had the worst record in the league last year. But I believe he's at least the man for the job to start the turnaround. I see them. I think Cade Cunningham. He wasn't really healthy last season. I think he is in the running for most improved maybe. I just have a lot of faith in that backcourt alongside the other pieces that they have. James Wiseman, maybe he comes back out of nowhere and shows why Golden State drafted him so high at number 2 a couple years ago. So Detroit at 13. 12, Toronto Raptors. This is a team with a lot of good players, and they had a lot of good players last year. You talk about OG Anunoby, Pascal Siakam. Honestly, any of the tall guys that are like between the heights of 6'8" and like 6'11" that they have. The hell else? Chris Boucher's on there too. They're basically running the same team back without their starting point guard in Fred VanVleet, who they gave up for nothing because he walked in free agency, with a worse coach because Nick Nurse is gone. I just don't see how this team makes any sort of turnaround without any other big key pieces or somebody else stepping up out of nowhere for them. I don't see who that could be on this team. And, they finished, I believe, 11th last year, just out of the play-in.
10th.
I mean, I think they take a dive. 10th? Yeah, okay. That's right, because they lost 9th. To Chicago in the...
They were 9th.
9th.
Yeah.
9th.
Yeah,
I know they're in the play-in.
That's right, yeah. I think they take a dive this year. I just think there's a lot of other younger, hungrier teams that kind of are on the up and up, and I just think this iteration of the Raptors with how these guys played last year, is on the way out. So number 12, Toronto Raptors. 11th, fresh out of the play-in, Orlando Magic. Kind of similar to what Jeremy said. It's not like I'm doubting Paolo Banchero and a lot of the other young guys in the team. You do need experience to win the games down the stretch, not even in the playoffs, but like leading into the playoffs. Those really annoying February, March, April games that like are down the stretch, those back-to-backs that are going to be tough on you. And I just don't know if this team has the experience yet. If I had to give my prediction for the next couple of years, I think they would be like a top 5 seed potentially, with depending on how Paolo Banchero really plays out this year. This guy played like he's, has years of experience this past year, easily winning Rookie of the Year and stuff like that. I believe he was the only rookie over 20 points per game. I just don't think they have it yet. I don't think they're a bad team. They're just a team that used to be absolutely awful, but they're just slowly building their way up. They're doing the rebuild the right way. So I have them just out of the play-in at 11. Cool.
Awesome. All right.
Okay.
Going through 10 seed through 6. 10 through 6. All right. Brian, let's start with you. Seeds 10 through 6.
All right. So seeds 10 through 6. 10 seed. This is the play-in and then the last non-play-in team. My number 10 is the Atlanta Hawks.
Ooh.
I mean, they traded John Collins, and so there's that. And then they got a big question to ask themselves. We got our new Hawks writer, Mikey Kabrinsky. I want to know his opinion on this. They got a big question to ask themselves. Clint Capella's in a contract year. Do you re-sign him? Do you let him walk? Do you trade him and roll with Onyeka Okongwu as the new center? Or do they try to do what Minnesota wanted to do and run 2 big men, but hopefully they're more successful than Minnesota? Now, I don't think they should do that one because their court spacing would be even worse, and they traded John Collins to help their court spacing as well as just system fit. So I don't know what direction the Hawks are going to go in. The so far Trae Young, DeJounte Murray experience hasn't worked out as they've hoped, and they really need to figure out: do they want Okongwu? Do they trust him to be the starting center, or are they gonna still have faith in Clint Capella? So I just think they have a lot of internal questions to make, and I don't think their coaching staff is anything to write home about. Now, at number 9 is, like I said at the start of this, there's always 1 or 2 teams in the NBA that surprise you. My surprise team is the Orlando Magic. I'm really high on this team. I love their young core. Like you said, Andy, Paolo Banchero is a walking confident bucket who you'd think he's a veteran at this point. This is only his second year. I think they had a solid draft class. They got Anthony Black. Andy, I know you watch college ball. You saw your rival, Jet Howard, play at Michigan. I think he can be a decent bench piece. And like Jeremy said, you got the Wagner brothers who balled out in the FIBA tournament for Germany, especially Franz Wagner. So I really like that team. I think Jalen Suggs is solid. I think he could even have a step up. And he's going to be in the G League, but they got my boy who I just interviewed, Mac McClung. They got some solid defensive pieces like Jonathan Isaac. They have Michael Carter-Williams, who will probably be just a depth guy. But Markelle Fultz has kind of rejuvenated his career, leaving Philadelphia, going to Orlando. He looks solid. Gary Harris is a nice little defensive piece, too. And, I mean, they also have Wendell Carter Jr., and they're so confident in their guard depth that there's even been possibilities that they might trade Cole Anthony. And Cole Anthony, him or Jalen Suggs, is probably, in my opinion, the best guard they currently have on their roster. So that kind of says something of that they're going to look to upgrade this roster. And for the first time, and I can't even tell you in how many years, they're going to try to get into the playoffs or play in. So I really like this Orlando team, and I think they're a year or 2 away from competition in the Eastern Conference. So number 8 is, I think, the team that is one of the most underrated, improved teams in the NBA, and that's the Indiana Pacers. I really like their offseason. I think Tyrese Halliburton takes a huge step leading that team. Then they bring in former NBA champion, one of the most versatile and underrated players of the league, in Bruce Brown. And then they upgraded their court spacing even more, bringing in and tremendously improved their athleticism, getting Obi Toppin, and all it cost them was to send 2 second-round picks, aka a Lay's bag of chips, to the Knicks for Obi Toppin. So I really like the Pacers team. I think they could, even with Miles Turner, I think could be a play-in, a top-end play-in team. At number 7, I got the Brooklyn Nets. They were the 6th seed last year, had Kevin Durant for half the year. Take a look at the way their roster started. They focused really a lot on getting depth guys, just like bench guys. And now they no longer have Kevin Durant. They no longer have Kyrie Irving and James Harden. They have Mikal Bridges and Cameron Johnson, who are both solid. But now they signed a lot of depth guys. Like they signed Darius Bazley. They drafted Noah Clowney. They signed Dennis Smith Jr., signed Lonnie Walker, and Ben Simmons is allegedly in the best health in his career and best shape he's been in his career. So if he can come back, they can maybe be a high-end play-in, but as well. But I like the future of this Nets team. Still also have a lot of draft capital. I just don't think they're ready to compete yet as well, but who knows? They could be a big trade away from getting back to that spot with their draft capital. Could go after a guy like Drew Holiday. And then at number 6, the last team in the playoffs that avoids the play-in. I'm ready for all the smoke from one individual in particular, but I got the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah, I knew that was coming. Yeah, that's fair. Let me hear it.
This was one of the teams. This is one of the teams I had to rearrange when I went back and changed my list, and I think it's for the 2 reasons of, the main reason they lost in my New York Knicks last year was because of depth, of just their big 3 of Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, and like Jared Allen or Evan Mobley, whoever you want to say is better out of that last big man, kind of got ran into the ground playing egregious amount of minutes due to the fact that they had no depth. And so then their only like real offseason move was signing Max Strus. And I forgot what player you guys mentioned when you were going on your list, but you said one of them was kind of like more like a system fit and whatever. And I kind of see that with Max Strus. I think he's going to be overrated in just the Cavs system. I just think the Heat, and it's one of the best things that Pat Riley does, and what makes him one of the best executives in basketball, and it makes Eric Spoelstra one of the best coaches in the league, is they can just get any guy unheard of off the streets and turn them into a double-digit scorer or just find some role on their team. Like, you take a look at the Heat's depth coming into this past season, and you probably would have said they have one of the worst benches in basketball just because, and you don't know how these guys are going to be, but it led to Gabe Vincent getting a bag from the Lakers. It led to Max Strus getting paid with the Cavs. I just don't think they're going to keep that success in that system. And then there's the whole drama of Donovan Mitchell not getting the extension. He doesn't want to sign the extension. And it's a pretty good sign that he's going to leave. I think I know where he's going, and it's his hometown team that wears blue and orange. But since that's a hypothetical, I'm just focusing on what's going to happen. It's going to be Mitchell leaving, and Max Strus is not going to be as good as he should and as good as he was for the Heat, for Cleveland.
I will stop watching basketball if Donovan Mitchell goes to the Knicks. I won't be able to look at the color orange. I will be so sick.
So what I'm hearing is I can send you a Donovan Mitchell Knicks jersey for your birthday.
Yeah, get fucked, Brian. How about that? Jeremy, do your damn predictions. You guys suck, man.
Are you? Can we restart real quick?
Yeah.
Can y'all hear anything from my end?
No. Just your voice.
Okay. All right. Cool. That's crazy. The Cavs, a 6 seed. Your prediction? It's crazy. Wow. I don't think that'll really hurt. Like Mitchell not signing an extension won't really hurt like their seeding, unless they do terrible, then he gets traded. That's my guess.
Well, I don't think he's getting traded. He's gonna finish up the year.
I think so too. So he's gonna go out strong.
Unless something crazy happens. Maybe he fights
Just
JV
the Timberwolves.
Bickerstaff. Who knows?
He's gonna go out strong. So for my
J.R. Smith threw a bowl of soup at assistant once. Sorry, go ahead, Jeremy.
So for my 10 through 6,
He did, though.
my 10 through 6, number 10, I'm going with the Toronto Raptors. Kind of like, I know they were 9th last year, but they're pretty much going to be in the same spot without Fred VanVleet. However, I do think that Scotty Barnes is going to develop more into the player that he was in his first season. I feel like that's really what they're going to hold on to. Of course, you got OG Anunoby and Pascal Siakam doing their thing. Guys, did you guys even mention Grady Dick? Come on. Grady Dick?
How could I
Have you
forget
seen-
Dick? How could I forget about Dick?
Well, I mean, that's a lot of meanings right there. But his 3-point percentage, it's going to be a great wing player. Like shooting threes off the wazoo. I see it. I definitely see it. Now, they're still going to be 10 seats, so they're going to barely make the play-in. They don't got Nick Nurse anymore, of course, as Brian mentioned. But I feel like with their depth, I mean, they have Jakob Poeltl back. They have Jaden McDaniels. Dennis Schroeder's going to be their point guard. So I see this kind of working if they want to go to the play-in. I see it working. But farther than that, definitely not. Unless DeMar DeRozan decides to rejoin the Raptors and bring his daughter so she can scream every time their opponent player shoots a free throw. That's just wishful thinking.
Legendary
Wishful
stuff,
thinking.
Yeah.
Number 9, hot take as fuck. Hot take. I'm going with the 76ers. Number 9.
Whoa,
I'm going with the 76ers.
9?
Yes. This drama
Tell me why.
this drama is going to seriously implode on them. I mean, James Harden does not want to play on the team. The trade package is too high for teams to offer because they want more players. Embiid doesn't want to play on the team, clearly. He's not a 76er for life anymore, like he mentioned he was. I know, blasphemous. I know, Meyer. I know, but that's my hot take. Hot take. 9th is going to be the 76ers. I just feel like it is. It's going to be a lot of drama. It's going to really affect the players where they play. And I just don't think that Elton Brand is suitable for that kind of drama. I just don't think so. And I feel like he's going to be...
You know what?
I feel like he's going to be gone. Elton Brand, the GM, gone. You were good as a player, but GM, you've been kind of dog shit as a GM. Just saying.
You know what, Jeremy? I'm gonna applaud you on that. Every team surprises you one way or the other. There's always a surprise in basketball, and I don't hate that. I mean, maybe it's because I incredibly hate the 76ers or whatever.
Maybe,
but
yeah.
I think it's very possible this little James Harden situation could completely boil over. I wanted to do it, but I'm like, I don't.
No.
I think that'd just be bias kicking in. But my thing was, if they trade James Harden, which they should, I just think that team, even without Harden and what they would get for Harden, would still be too talented. That's why I couldn't put them that low.
They're not going to put...
But I wanted to. I really wanted to.
In my opinion, they're not going to get anything good back that they want from Harden. From Embiid, maybe, if Embiid leaves. But as far as that goes, you got what? Tyrese Maxey, Tobias Harris, who are only... Well, Tyrese Maxey can probably play on his own, but Tobias Harris plays in a system. And what system is that? I got Nick Nurse's, which is... He's going to have a lot. He's going to have his work cut out for him, Nick Nurse. Even though he's a good coach, he's going to have his work cut out for him. Guarantee it.
9 is crazy,
9.
though. I see what you're saying, but
9,
9.
man.
Wow.
Yeah. Their offseason was acquiring
second,
Nick Nurse
third,
and getting Kelly Oubre. What? What else? What else? I might be wrong I might be missing one player, but a player that probably won't be as impactful That's Kelly Oubre, who is what? Kelly Oubre's impactful?
They got Beverly.
Yeah, that's impactful. That's definitely impactful. Pat Beverly at age 35 is definitely impactful at this stage of his career.
They got Danny Green back. I know
Danny
that.
Green post ACL tear. Yeah, that's impactful. You just got a bunch of old.
I'm coming different post ACL tear too. All right.
Mo Bamba, dude. Mo Bamba is for Embiid coverage, but they need to use Mo Bamba more because he rarely ever gets used. If they actually have.
The song is better than him.
Yeah.
The song about him is better.
The song about him is better than himself as a player. That's why I have the 76ers low. They're going to make the play-in. I mean, they could make the playoffs if they get some steam, but number 9. Philadelphia is number 9. Okay. All right, y'all. Calm down.
I ship it.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you. Number 8. I've got the Atlanta Hawks. Pretty much exactly where they're at. Last season, I think that maybe they might be a little bit better. Trae Young is going to have a better season than he did last year. Like last year, he was just not the greatest 3-point shooter compared to his previous seasons. He just had an off year. I think that the DeJounte Murray pairing isn't going to work as well the second year at all either. Just like the first year, I'm focusing more on the young guys. Okonwu. I'm focusing more on I'm focusing more on DeAndre Hunter. I'm focusing more on Sadiq Bey. That's kind of what I'm focusing more on. I don't really have any sort of confidence unless Trae Young gets his 3-point shot back towards the other players. Clint Capella is a system guy. He gets you boards. He blocks the rim. That's it. And I feel like they're just good enough to make the play-in. Will they make the playoffs? I don't think so because I got number 7 as my Brooklyn Nets. Brooklyn Nets are my number 7. I'm buying into Ben Simmons being 100% healthy. If he can develop a jump shot that we've always wanted him to have, it's game over. They might be higher in my rankings if Ben Simmons developed a jump shot. But you've got Mikal Bridges. You've got Cam Thomas and Cam Johnson. You've got some really good young guys. Mikal Bridges is probably going to be their leading scorer, and I'm really happy for him because he leaves the Sun system as sort of a 3-and-D wing guy with some upside scoring to be a primary scorer, and I think that's a really good option. He was kind of okay in the FIBA World Cup, but I mean, I think he'll really showcase his talent more, especially when he got traded to the Brooklyn Nets. And I think it'll continue to show. I really feel like this team is it's young. They're young. They're competitive. They're got a lot of energy. I really feel like that with Mikal Bridges and Ben Simmons, they're going to be a playoff. Just almost making the playoffs, but sitting at the last slot of the play-in. Now, my number 6, I've got the Miami Heat. Miami Heat. Look, you lost your Damian Lillard sweepstakes. You put so much energy, so much effort into trying to acquire him. In the event, with the effect that you lost Gabe Vincent and Max Strus to free agency, which is terrible blows. To be honest, you're gonna just rely on Caleb Martin the entire time. Okay, Kyle Lowry. Ugh. If they make a significant trade before training camp, before the season starts, then they could retain that 6th seed, and I believe they do. I think that they're not out of the woods yet. Drew Holiday is an option for them if he goes there. He's also a good option for other teams who might want someone like him. But I feel like the Heat, just under Eric Spoelstra's system, under Pat Riley, under his umbrella, they still managed to find a way to be a really good team in the East. And the window is definitely closing slowly. So that's why, they were 7th seed last year because they were sort of just, injuries and inconsistencies, but then they caught fire and got to the finals. I think that they still ride from that heat, but they just don't really make enough strides because of the fact that they don't have enough depth. But you got Jimmy Butler, you got Bam Adebayo, so I think that they still have a chance to make the playoffs as the last slot. I think that's why I put them at 6.
All right. We got some mixed opinions on Miami, it sounds like. Because I don't think Brian's mentioned it. Jeremy mentioned it. What am I going to do?
Well, Brian didn't mention Miami in a 6 or 10.
Well, that's what I'm
which
saying.
is like kind of
But
crazy to me. Like
where-
they lost. They were higher on my list, but then they lost because they couldn't get Damian Lillard, so lower on my list.
you'll see why. You'll see why.
It's because he's a Cavs hater. That's why.
I'm not a Cavs
No other
hater.
reason. Yes, he is.
For me to hate the Cavs would have to be competitive. It's not competitive with my team.
Okay.
The last time the Knicks won an NBA title was in 1973. I don't
Cool.
want to hear it.
Cool. You weren't
The last
born.
time
I
the
wasn't born.
Cavs
I
won the
was focused my
finals,
lifetime.
the last time the Cavs won the finals without LeBron was never.
The last time the Rockets won without Hakeem Olajuwon was never. The last time the Knicks won without who the hell was on that team? Willis Reed was never. Is this
Okay,
the game we want to
get
play?
to your predictions. Jesus.
Bite me, Houston boy. I'm not
Houston
doing this
boy.
today. Anyways, sheesh. Anyways, number 10, we're gonna go with Chicago Bulls. I really want this team to like prove the front office right and just like show that the current group that they have is like going to succeed and compete, do something with it, with what they got. But I think it's going to be time to admit that the Levine, DeRozan, and Vucevic experiment is going to work. I mean, they re-signed Ayo Dosunmu, they re-signed Kobe White to questionable deals. They still have Patrick Williams. They added Javon Carter and Torrey Craig, who are, guys that are going to give you good minutes, but I don't know if they're going to completely change the game. I don't know if anything that they have done this offseason, I mean, anything at all, is it really improved from where they're at. Barring a huge step up or someone takes a big step forward, whether it's Ayo Dosunmu or Kobe White, Patrick Williams, they also signed Terry Taylor, guys like that. I mean, this team's just not going to be that good. DeMar can put up 30 a game. Vucevic can have, 20 and 10 or something like that. And they still find ways to lose games. And I think it's about damn time for the Bulls, as I think both of you said, it's about damn time to blow this whole thing up. Unless there were the rumors about them getting Dame or something like that, or some other big name free agent. Yeah, let's put that to bed, Chicago. Let's start anew, okay? Your next savior, whoever's going to be the cornerstone of your franchise, isn't on this current team. And if he is, you did a terrible job at building around him. So, talking right to you, Karnisovas. That's number 10. Number 9, we're going to go with the Atlanta Hawks. You guys, they were both in your guys' group right here, so I'll keep this kind of brief. John Collins is gone. They didn't really get much for him, but maybe that's okay for them. They're still running it back. They have Trae Young. They have DeJounte Murray. That's a very competitive elite backcourt. They have guys like Onyeka Okongwu, Jalen Johnson. They're also going to throw DeAndre Hunter and Sadiq Bey out there. I still don't see how anybody on that roster, aside from Trae Young or DeJounte Murray, is really going to be that big of an X factor this year. It's not that they don't have potential to potentially be something or, acquire more young talent to build for the future, but I still don't think this team's really ready to take off yet and blast past the play-in. I think they, when they're hot because of the offense that they play, when everything's clicking on all cylinders, but I just don't think this team is consistent enough to elevate themselves to a consistent contender, skip the play-in, play basketball, in mid to late May and into June. That team's just not there yet. They're close. I just don't think they're there yet, and so that's why I have them at the 9 seed. At the 8, we're going to go with the Brooklyn Nets. Okay, they don't have Harden, they don't have Kyrie, they don't have Durant anymore. But I mean, next best thing you can do, you got young Mikal Bridges, you got Cam Johnson, you got Nick Claxton. I think that's a pretty solid. You might not call them a big 3, maybe they're just kind of like a moderate 3 for right now. But that's a pretty solid group of guys right there. You're adding on Dorian Finney-Smith, Royce O'Neal to that. A lot of the guys that they have playing alongside these guys are mainly positionless, or they're guards that can stretch to forwards that they can play 4 stretch 5s. I think that they're also supported by some good perimeter options in Spencer Dinwiddie, Dennis Smith Jr. I don't believe that Mikal Bridges is going to be like the guy to lead you to the Holy Land, but they're going to compete this year and show, Phoenix that's like, okay, well, you sold a couple of your best young guys for Kevin Durant. Well, they can ball too. They can ball on their own. Here's what you're missing out on. I think they're going to answer a lot of those questions this year and show that there's potential for something to happen in Brooklyn for the first time in a long time. even when they were New Jersey. For the first time in a long time, I think they're going to show that something's up there. That was 10, 9, 8. Okay, see, I can count. 7, Miami Heat. Kind of with you on this one, Jeremy. They didn't really do much this offseason other than gear up for Mr. Damian Lillard. They lost 2 of their key starters in Strus and Vincent that were crucial in their finals run. They don't get Damian Lillard. It's not to say that they don't have good talent on the team. The obvious Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero. But what's the extra, what's a special sauce for them this year? I'm not saying that they don't have special players on their team. More Butler. But what's going to just more Jimmy Butler? In a 48-minute game, they got to play him 55 minutes. That's what they're going to have to do, it seems like. I just really don't see. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know, dude. It's, Pat Riley and Spoelstra, I think, are still going to trot out a group there that will, and I use contend kind of as a light term. They'll make they went from the play into the finals this year, won a game in the finals and stuff. But are they really all that? I don't think so. With losing some of their key guys, not adding that much because they were gearing up for Dame, I'm not doubting what they're going to be able to do when push comes to shove. But right now, I'm just not seeing any sort of there's just nothing there right now. It's not that there's nothing there, but I just don't think there's as much there as there was last year. We'll see. Jimmy Butler has been proving me wrong consistently for the past 3 years, so maybe he'll do it again. We will see.
I still think they make.
And then 6. You still think they make the playoffs? They always find a way. It's the Heat culture, dude. What is it about the Heat culture? I would like to know. 6th seed, the last team in escaping the play-in. The Indiana Pacers. I am so bought in on this Tyrese Halliburton-led offense. I mean, the guy, before he went down, they were like a 3 or 4 seed in the East. They were like 5 or 6 games over 500. I mean, the guy can give you 10, 11 dimes a night like it was nothing. Okay, now he's got almost the same team that they're running it back from last year. He's got Bruce Brown with him, too, who looked unreal at times as a kind of a plug-and-play bench guy with the Nuggets. He still has Miles Turner, big man in the post, catching some lobs from him. He has Buddy Hield, who is one of the most prolific shooters in the league. And I think to support the Pacers making this kind of big leap this year, they're going to need a breakout from somebody on their team, whether it's Benedict Mathurin, who I think was inconsistent at times last year, but still had a pretty good season, or the newly acquired Obi Toppin from the Knicks. I think if one of those guys breaks out, or somebody that we have yet to really speculate that can really be that guy for them, I'm all in on the Pacers. I'm not even a big Pacers guy, but I'm not going to lie. I am hoping the Pacers succeed this year. I have a lot of faith in them. So, Pacers at the 6th seed.
I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that pick right there, Andy.
I almost wanted to put them higher, but I feel like 6 is a good ceiling for them. I didn't mention the
Pacers in my 10 through 6, so.
Uh-oh. What are you doing, Jeremy?
Another hot take. They're going to the finals. No, I'm kidding.
We'll look forward to that. We will look forward to that because it's time for 5 seed through
1.
The 1 seed. Let's go.
Yeah. So at 5, I got my New York Knicks. They went to the second round, kind of shocked the world in my opinion last year. I didn't think they were going to be that good. Mainly because of one guy in particular, and that's Jalen Brunson. Everyone was shitting on that deal when it first happened, and then he had the best year of his career, somehow wasn't an all-star or even all-NBA player. I would even take Julius Randle's all-NBA third-team selection and give it to Brunson because Brunson was the heart and soul of that team. And another offseason where I thought the Knicks were going to go all in, they choose to just play it safe. They lose Obi Toppin. They still haven't lost Evan Fournier yet. They still haven't traded him away, but they lost some other like low tier bench players. And then we signed Dante DiVincenzo as pretty much our only move. DiVincenzo, I like him, don't love him. I go back and forth with it all the time, but he's essentially there to fix, at the end of the day, the 2 biggest weaknesses on this Knicks roster, and that's perimeter defense and 3-point shooting, and he does both at a good level. I mean, he averages over a steal a game, and he shot, I believe, somewhere in the high 40s from three this past season. So I like it. My only worry with this team is as of right now, I believe Josh Hart is our backup power forward, which at 6'4", 216 is very worrisome. But I think the Knicks are clearly just pretty much running it back with the same guys. And then next year is when they make their big splash. And I mean, one of those guys they were targeting is Giannis, but now that they got Damian Lillard, he got a new teammate. I don't think he's going to be leaving Milwaukee anytime soon. So really, the two guys to watch out for to be a Knick is either Donovan Mitchell or Joel Embiid. It'll be interesting to see which one they get, but I definitely do think they get one and finally get superstar Knicks fans like myself deserve since Carmelo Anthony. Now, number 4.
He did nothing for y'all, by the
I
way.
hate this team. What?
He did nothing for y'all, by the way.
All right, thanks for the reminder, Mr.
Dude, he hit like
Houston
2 cool
Poverty
game
Rocket.
winners, Jeremy. He's like the best player in Knicks history. It's okay.
I mean, he's not, but also had 62 career points and would have taken
In a
the
regular
Knicks to the
season
finals
game. In a regular season game.
and would have taken the Knicks to the finals if Roy Hibbert didn't become Jesus Christ and whatever. And Amari Stoudemire didn't get
He
hurt.
didn't become Black Jesus.
Is
Yeah.
this the most we've ever mentioned Roy Hibbert in an episode?
Shout out Roy Hibbert.
I'm not upset about it. Roy
God,
Hibbert,
I
if you're watching,
Oh,
man,
God.
we love you.
God, I hate
What's
that.
your
man.
next team, Brian?
But number 4, kind of hate this team, so I don't want to praise them too much. But the Philadelphia 76ers, I wanted to put them, I mean, maybe not as low as Jeremy did, but I wanted to put them bottom tier of terms of playoff teams, just because that they have too many distractions on this team. Like Jeremy mentioned, Joel Embiid has been disgruntled. The whole James Harden situation. Is Tobias Harris a system player? Who knows? They should have, in reality, just kept Jimmy Butler and let Tobias Harris walk. But, I mean, I think Tyrese Maxey can take the next step. But, yeah, getting Patrick Beverley, Danny Green, and Mo Bamba isn't exactly the shiniest for a team that's championship aspirations. And I feel like they're just a team that always dominates in the regular season and then just can't do it in the playoffs when it matters most. I mean, they had that really good chance in, I believe, 2019 when the Raptors won the finals, but they haven't really looked as star dominant or as top to bottom dominant since then. And then maybe that's because of Doc Rivers or whatever, but who knows. But I have Philly at 4. Number 3, I got the Miami Heat. I just think that you guys are kind of writing them off as since they didn't get Damian Lillard, and you're kind of shitting on them unnecessarily. I mean, you guys in your proof about why the Heat will be that low, I kind of think it's a strength. They thrive when no one's talking about them. That's been Jimmy Butler's MO his whole career. He's still that dude. They got Tyler Hero still. Definitely hungrier and more motivated Tyler Hero since he felt disrespected with his names being in the trade rumors. Caleb Martin is still going to be in that Heat system, that Eric Spoelstra system, like you both mentioned.
So non-factor in the
And
finals.
they have, well, okay, fine. But they still have Bam Adebayo, who's solid despite his size at the center position. And obviously, their biggest question is their bench, unless they make another great trade, blockbuster trade. But they still have Caleb Martin, who I like. Duncan Robinson will get more minutes. Hopefully, he can return to the same player he was a few years ago after a really bad past season. But then Josh Richardson's in his second stint with the Heat. I mean, you want to talk about guys that come out of nowhere and just thrive in this Heat system, like the Gabe Vincents, like the Max Struces. Josh Richardson could be that guy. Duncan Robinson could be him again. Jaime Jaquez Jr., the first rounder from UCLA that they just took, could be that guy.
I like him.
In Summer League, Nikola Jovic, not Nikola Jokic, Nikola Jovic. He's been looking pretty good. So there's potential there. And I think just because they didn't get Damian Lillard doesn't mean they're done. They could easily get Drew Holiday. they could trade for a disgruntled superstar at the deadline. Sure, the Heat had a bad year last year because they were, or a bad regular season because they were the 7th seed. But Jeremy, like you mentioned, is because they dealt with a lot of injuries and they try way hard. They try way more in the playoffs than they do in the regular season. But now they kind of don't have that luxury because of how much better the East got. And hopefully, if they stay healthy, they could be in that regard. And plus, this was a team that was 2 years ago when Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson weren't as proven, and they were the 1 seed. So I think the sky is still the limit for them. And sure, their championship window is closing because Jimmy Butler's getting older. He's not going to be this dominant forever. Their championship window is still on, in my opinion. At number 2, I got the Boston Celtics. If you talked to me yesterday, before this trade happened, I would have said this is the best roster in basketball before this Damian Lillard trade happened, top to bottom on paper. But I just think and then they had that big addition of Kristaps Porzingis, but it ultimately ended up costing them Marcus Smart. And this Boston Celtics team is, I don't know why, but for some reason they just can't win the big one. They always get there. They always look good. Everyone's like stars aligning, saying that now like there's no weaknesses, but I think they're weak. I think they somehow, some way, they won't get it done. They won't make the finals. Won't win the finals if they do make it. I just think Porzingis with his injury history. I think losing Marcus Smart was really bad for them, as well as Grant Williams is a nice player, although he'll get a better opportunity in Dallas. I don't understand why they love Al Horford so much. I think Robert Williams should be the starter and should be getting the bulk of those minutes. So I just don't see Boston. And then I get it, they have Joe Mazzulla, and that was his first year, and he was kind of dealt with an interesting situation for his first year of coaching because he was kind of thrown into the Wolves due to Ime Udoka's situation. That's so fucked, Andy.
For his God.
I couldn't help.
My God.
Dealing with his situation. And I was doing some research on Joe Mazzulla when I was writing the season preview. And this was his first year ever of coaching. And when you're in the NBA, championship caliber team in the Celtics, that's kind of bad. Like, he started out as assistant coaches in college. Then he was an assistant coach for the Celtics G League team. And then was an assistant coach for the actual Celtics team. I mean, I think he did fine. Like, for a first-year coach, he surprised me. Like, I actually think he did good. But who knows if he could be a championship-winning coach. And I think that's still kind of the question there. And also, Jaylen Brown, who just got the highest contract in NBA history, like myself, doesn't know how to dribble with his left hand. So, I mean, I don't really know if that, as a second player, especially richest player in NBA history, how good that is. And they're going to have a really hard time affording Porzingis when they also have to pay Jason Tatum next year. So that's going to be interesting to see. And the best team in the Eastern Conference, Milwaukee Bucks. This is probably going to be the shortest one I talk about. They already have the best player in basketball. They got one of the best point guards in basketball, and they didn't give up any depth.
They have the second best player in basketball. Nikola Jokic is the best player in basketball.
Well, I said one of. I didn't say the best.
You said best.
Oh, well, if I did, I meant one of the best.
We have the tape.
Yeah, we'll
roll it back.
We'll roll back whenever we finish.
Okay, one of the best players in basketball.
Okay. Is that it on the Bucks?
That's it.
Yeah, because we already talked about them pretty much earlier in the show. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Brian's got the Bucks.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I'm pretty sure all of us will have the Bucks. All right, so Pacers are my 5th seed. I love it. Honestly, I love it. I'm with you, Andy. You put them at 6. I'll put them at 5. I'll do you one better. I feel like the Pacers are just at the right time for themselves. I mean, you get Bruce Brown. You steal him away from the Nuggets after Mike Malone was like drunk and said, "He's gonna be with us. He's gonna be with us next year. We're bringing him back." And no,
Bruce Brown's looking at the whole time,
I want some money. I take the 2-year contract, $40 million. Let's fucking go. So Bruce Brown is a amazing asset for the Pacers, especially on defense. I mean, you got Benedict Mathurin, who's in his second season, had a hot start in his rookie year, but kind of fell off. I feel like he'll be back in his hot start and continue that. Miles Turner is due, man. Miles Turner is due. He's been on this team since 2004. I mean, he's due for a playoff appearance without him, being like, a liability. I mean, the last time he was in the playoffs was with Victor Oladipo, right? And didn't really do much there. You got really good backups like T.J. McConnell. Yeah, I see this team. I really do. I see this team. However, they're at 5. I was going to put them higher, but Buddy Hield is looking for a trade. So they might use that to their best ability, because they might trade him for more bench assets, which I think that they actually really need more. They really need more bench assets. That's like the thing that they're lacking is their bench, which is why I'm putting the Pacers at 5. Still a really good team, playoff bound for sure. I think they're ready for it, but they need more depth on the bench. 4th, I'm going your New York Knicks, Brian. They are going to be 4th. Better than last year. I think they were 5th seed, correct? 5th seed?
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel like because the Pacers take that spot in the 5th seed, also they got Obi Toppin. Obi Toppin. I didn't mention that, but Obi Toppin, shout out to him. Really good pickup for the Pacers. The Knicks take the 4th spot. Look, they would be higher on my list if Tibbs was not on the coach. If he was not head coach, because he puts them down and he doesn't actually reach them to their God-given potential. You only got Jalen Brunson doing everything, okay? You got R.J. Barrett, who needs to be better than he is, and he's getting better. Month after month, he's getting better. But then you got Julius Randle, who's, where is he going to be? I kept telling Brian, the Knicks need to trade Julius Randle. It is imperative that they trade Julius Randle, but no, he's still on the roster with his poutiness, with his lack of maturity, and he just doesn't have that winning mentality. I don't think he does. I don't think he has it. But I think due to Jalen Brunson's first year, I think is going to be the same the second year. He'll be an all-star this second year. He'll be an actual all-star, like probably all-star starter, I would say, in his second year as a New York Knick. I think that they'll really just continue to get better. The power forward situation, it's a bit murky. I mean, like Brian said, I'm not going to reiterate, but the power forward position is a bit murky, undersized. But I think the Knicks do figure that out. And hot take, I think they might take Joel Embiid. They might take Joel Embiid in a trade. We could be seeing that. The Knicks.
That's a superstar.
We could be seeing that.
There we go.
If the Knicks take Joel Embiid in the trade, then I see them as a 4th seed for sure, or a little bit higher, maybe.
I mean, it's possible. I don't know. I kind of want I honestly, the biggest reason I want Donovan Mitchell now is just because when that happens, I want Kalandi and see the look on his face.
Yep. But the thing is, if you get Donovan Mitchell in a trade, he's a rental. Unless he wants to sign with you guys, correct?
No, he'd resign. He wants to be home. He wanted to get traded to the Knicks from Utah, and then Danny Ainge was trying to take advantage of that and was offering for 5 first-rounders from the Knicks. But to forget the hypothetical, just to focus on Houston.
Yeah.
I agree with pretty much everything you said, more or less. I mean, I think some of Randall's immaturities were because of his injuries, and I mean, I did meet and interview the guy, but he definitely needs to grow as a player and a person. I think he needs to be more consistent, much better in the 4th quarter. He still somewhat has those bad shot selections and turnover issues. And like Meyer said, though, whether the Knicks should or shouldn't trade Randall, I don't really know what they would get for him while trying to remain competitive. And plus, they don't make the playoffs without him. But I'm not the biggest Tom Thibodeau guy in the world, but at the end of the day, he kind of saved us from a disaster, from a dumpster fire, and took us to the playoffs 2 of the 3 years he's been there, one of them including the second round. And sure, Tom Thibodeau still has that mindset of it's his guys or you're done. I mean, that literally happened to Obi Toppin, hence their argument, and then the trade to Indiana. But he has somewhat changed. He's not burying players anymore, like killing them. Like he doesn't play Jalen Brunson into the ground. Doesn't play Julius Randle into the ground. Like there will never be another Derrick Rose situation where they're just overused and then tear their ACL. Thank God.
Hopefully, not.
And
Knock on wood.
he also able to finally realize that he can't have his players, like he no longer has that management role where he can control the roster, hence Derrick Rose and Taj Gibson finally being off the roster. They're just not in the Knicks direction. So I will have to give Thibodeau credit in that regard. And the Knicks are a wild card in my opinion, in the sense that I could see them being anywhere from the 4 seed to the 7 seed. So I don't hate where Germany put them. I don't hate where I put them. And I especially don't hate where Andy's going to put them. Since he didn't name them yet, I know he's somewhere in that top 5.
Begrudgingly going to put them. All right. So
no, I got to give credit where credit's due. They're a top 5.
Also, like,
in the East.
I didn't mention Mitchell Robinson there, too, and also Isaiah Hartenstein, which are key players.
Rockets.
Yes, key players in the Knicks interior. Along with, well, I guess you could say Emmanuel Quickley is a decent player, too.
Oh, I love Hartenstein.
Yeah. All right. So, 3rd seed. This is going to be kind of a controversial. I got the Celtics, 3rd seed. Celtics as my 3rd seed.
Okay. Tell us why.
Because they lost Marcus Smart. They lost the glue guy in Marcus Smart. And who is their glue guy now? Really? Who is their glue guy?
Robert Williams, maybe?
I don't see anybody as their glue guy.
Derek White.
Derek White? Yeah, okay. Derek White? Really? Derek White? This team is going to be on the hands of Kristaps Porzingis' plantar fasciitis, Jaylen Brown, and Jason Tatum. Okay? White does do his job, but not to the level of Marcus Smart when it comes to defense. I'm very high on Marcus Smart's defense. I'm very high on his defense. Even though he flops, I'm very, very high on his defense. And that's what took the Celtics.
I mean, White's defensive efficiency was one of the best in the league. He's a good defender.
He's good, very but I would say that Marcus Smart is better. Extremely better. It's one of the reasons why the Boston Celtics went to the Eastern Conference Finals 3 straight years and a finals appearance. It's one of the reasons why. So, they're still going to be good. Don't get me wrong. I just don't think that they're going to be as good as they were last season. Because Kristaps Porzingis is going to be injured. I feel like he's going to be injured for most of the season. He's kind of he's a unicorn. He just does things that he's good at, that he was drafted to be good at well. When he was athletic, he could block. But now he's just very inconsistent when it comes to that. So I just feel like he's not going to be... What's up?
You're not so much doubting like the stars that they have. It's just kind of like what's around them. Like you think the loss of Marcus Smart's too big to just like
also,
plug and play.
Al Horford, guys. They still have Al Horford. He's still going to be a player on an NBA team.
Come on, Uncle Al.
I like Al Horford.
I mean, he's good.
He's got the fundamentals, but I don't think he should start. But yet he's still going to be there, and he's probably going to start. Maybe if they have Robert Williams, if he stays healthy too. If Rob Williams stay healthy, then they probably would be able to be a 2 seed or 1 seed. But I'm still rolling on those injuries. So that's why I have Celtics at 3. Okay. But I think Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, their tandem is going to, albeit sometimes they're both inconsistent at the same time, they'll reach the playoffs, and they probably might make it to the second round or third, depending on the health of the counterparts of the Celtics roster. Number 2.
This is what I
got. The
like,
Cleveland Cavaliers.
Come on!
I got the Cavs.
Tell me why.
I got the Cavs. Look, they still have a great starting lineup. They just didn't have much experience, and they made it the Donovan Mitchell show. If they don't make it the Donovan Mitchell show, they are going to be a really good team this season. I just feel it. Max Strus. I mean, yeah, he came from the Heat culture system. Still hits threes really nicely. That's what they need.
George's Niang. That's a
Yeah.
nice pickup.
Even though Jared Allen was like, the bright lights were too much for us. It's another year. It's another year, man. I feel like Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, each year, if you're good your first season, you're going to continue to get better each year, unless something catastrophic happens. But I still think that the Cavs are going to be a lot better, and they're going to be extremely good this season. They just had to go through experience. They had to go through growing pains in the playoffs. So I feel like they're going to use that and get extremely good. Donovan Mitchell, his situation when it comes to his extension, I mean, I don't think it's going to be a huge problem because it's not this year, it's next year. So I still think that regardless of that issue or regardless of that situation, he's going to probably put in his best performance this year and still be Donovan Mitchell. Darius Garland's going to be an all-star. He's going to be Darius Garland. Jared Allen's going to be Jared Allen. I mean, Evan Mobley's going to be Evan Mobley. It feels good. It feels right for them to be a lot better. They have a chip on their shoulder. Plus, what they got Tristan Thompson. I mean, come on, man. Tristan Thompson.
Come on now.
Other players. Karis LeVert is going to be a good bench player. Isaac Okoro, he needs to step up. That's my main issue. Isaac Okoro. Can he be a starting small forward? Or is Karis LeVert going to take over this place? Is it going to be the same song and dance as it was last year? We'll see. I'm also excited to see Imani Bates because, well, I like his story. And hopefully he stays in the league.
Hooper.
Yes, Hooper. Right, absolute Hooper. Number one, of course, we got the Milwaukee Bucks. What else you got to say? They pulled off their great trade today. I was going to put them at the 3 seed because of the, Giannis inconsistency. Maybe he might want to get traded. It might be a trade piece. There's a lot of rumors surrounding there. But since Lillard is on the Bucks now, I think Giannis is staying. It's pretty self-explanatory. And I think that they'll be okay without Drew Holiday. Rhyming accidentally. So, yeah, I think that they'll be okay. Malik Beasley is a good pickup. Jay Crowder is going to step up and actually play. Yeah, Brook Lopez, Chris Middleton. I mean, you got a really good squad here. I mean, they've been to the playoffs every single year since, 2018, 2019? Was it 2018 or 2017?
Before that, maybe. I don't even know.
They've been far in the playoffs consistently, at least the second round consistently.
2018, I think.
Yeah, since 2018, since Giannis turned into Giannis. Since baby Giannis became Giannis. And they're going to still be a tough team. I mean, they were the first seed last year, but they got bounced in the first round unexpectedly. We're not talking the playoffs. We're talking about the regular season. They're gonna steamroll through the regular season for sure. So that's it for me. Bucks.
All right, Jeremy with some takes there.
I like it. A wrong one.
Wow.
I mean, that man had more points than Donovan Mitchell at the Garden. So, you know what? Jared Allen was right. They couldn't handle the bright lights. You know what? I'm glad.
That was last year. It's this year now.
Andy, I'm glad for you.
It's this year now.
Jeremy has Cleveland at the 2 seed because you won't be playing the Knicks then.
I just do.
So you won't handle the big lights.
I just do.
So you won't handle the big lights.
I have them because I feel
because
like
Donovan Mitchell and Jared Allen can't play at the Garden when the lights are
I just don't trust Tibbs.
So stick to their...
I don't trust Tibbs. I like Bickerstaff more.
So then I have a question for you then. If the Knicks had a guy that I wanted them to get when they hired Tibbs, Kenny Atkinson. They had Kenny Atkinson as their head coach. Where would you have him? Same roster and everything. Just different coach.
I probably have him 3rd seed. 3. Still, Julius Randle scares me.
Yes. So you actually think it's a good enough of a difference? Interesting.
Yeah, I do.
Damn, I didn't realize you were that big of a Tibbs hater. You might be more of a Tibbs hater than me.
Tibbs has ruined several players' career.
I mean, fair.
He's never been a winner.
He's a good coach. He's just not
when it
a
matters, at least.
finals coach. He's not a Mike Malone. He's not a Nick Nurse. He's not a well. It's because Tibbs is his disciple of Doc Rivers. Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
It runs in the coaching tree.
Yeah,
That's why.
there you
Well,
go.
Cleveland's not a city of winners outside LeBron James.
Okay, let Andy go through his top 5. Let Andy go through his top 5 seeds so we can go. Okay.
I'm done.
All right.
I'm catching crazy.
Okay,
straight.
come on, let's go.
All love.
Damn.
Let's go.
All right. Speed round. Here we go. 5th seed, Philadelphia 76ers. The situation's too uncertain. What the hell's happening with Harden? They still have a pretty good team around him, obviously, Maxey and Embiid. No matter what happens, Embiid's going to have them playing, competitive basketball. It might not be like top seed or it might not take them all the way to like May or June, but they're going to be playing competitive basketball no matter what. If Maxey is able to kind of fill in that bigger role if it's vacated by Harden, especially if the worst case scenario is if Harden decides to like fully hold out and just not play like Simmons did a couple years ago, that could be catastrophic for them. But I do think that with all those things being said, even if that happens, they're going to wind up at the 5th spot. Not to say that they're a bad team. I just do think that there are better looking, faring teams ahead of them going into this next season. So we'll see where that goes. Maybe Embiid plays his way to another MVP, whether it's fraudulent or not, and we see what happens. So Sixers at 5. 4, the New York Knicks. This team is, you guys kind of already took it away when it comes to a lot of these things. The Knicks are a solid team. Jalen Brunson, I was one of the most devout pessimists about that trade that they made for him. I thought the move they made for him. Yeah, the move they made for him. Sorry, I thought it was just an awful move, and I was proven wrong. Not only in the regular season but the playoffs as well. Still upset about that. But it's not only that. I think they have a solid team around him. You guys mentioned there's Mitchell Robinson, there's Isaiah Hartenstein, there's Josh Hart, Julius Randle, with whichever version of Julius Randle we get. Jericho Sims, if you want to put him in there, he's pretty good at rebounding, I suppose. Quentin Grimes. DiVincenzo is with the Knicks now, correct? Right?
Yeah, they signed DiVincenzo.
Yeah, there you go. That's another addition for some outside shooting and stuff. I do think that the biggest thing that's going to need to happen for the Knicks to take that next step to truly being a competitor where I could put them as I could see them as a top 3 team in the East and pushing forward into late May and June basketball is RJ Barrett. I think he's just been incredibly inconsistent in his time in the league. He's one of the least efficient scorers I think we've seen for guys that get a lot of volume of minutes. But if there's a time for him to break out with a roster around him, I do think it's now. I think he has that potential. And honestly, I'm a lot of these rankings we said are dependent on a bunch of different things. If RJ Barrett comes out and is absolutely hooping this year, I could easily see them moving up to a 3 and dare I say a 2 seed or something like that. I'm pretty high in the Knicks, I must say. I think they play a brand of basketball that is sustainable throughout both the regular season and the playoffs because it's tough, it's hard-nosed. They can also hit from the outside. They can score from all 3 areas, all 3 levels of the court. They have a solid roster top to bottom. I do like where the New York Knicks are at and where they can go. So, Knicks at 4. 3rd seed. I like my Cavs, but I don't like them as much as Jeremy does this year. I got the Cavs at 3. Running back, essentially the same squad. You lose Jetty Osmond, but you gain Max Strus. You gain Georges Niang. Those 2 are going to improve upon the shooting that I think Karis LeVert did pretty inconsistently last year. Jetty Osmond, I thought, was pretty dreadful at. And that was really the only position, that small 4 position, was really not rock solid. Other than that, you have, there's Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland. That small forward will probably get filled by, I would imagine, Strus at first. And then you have Mobley and Allen rounding out the front court. Team needs experience. All teams need experience. This team needed experience. I think it got it after getting pounded in the Garden a couple times last year in the first round of the playoffs. And I think they come back almost better than ever. I think this is a 50-win team if they're firing on all cylinders, barring any injuries. I'm looking forward to seeing Karis LeVert hopefully take a step forward to what we've seen from him in the past. He had a couple like 30 and 40 balls last year, but outside of that was pretty inconsistent. I'm looking forward to him to taking a big step forward this year. And the Cavs, as one of their biggest fans, I don't think they're going to be playing in the finals by any means, but I think they're going to have a pretty solid regular season and hopefully convince Donovan Mitchell that there's something here to build and he should sign that damn extension the first chance he gets and not go to the Knicks. But maybe I'm just biased in that. So we'll see what happens there. Maybe he just wants to go home. All right. Number 2, Milwaukee Bucks.
Oh, okay.
Wild, right?
All right.
A little wild. Right. So, Brian and Jeremy have already said this. We were talking about them before. The Bucks are going to be stacked this year with the addition of Lillard. Yeah, they lost Drew Holiday, but they have the perfect two-man game set up with just Lillard and Giannis. And then you add in Brook Lopez, a force down low. Chris Middleton's also going to be a part of this. They are my pick to come out of the East and play in the finals. Don't get me wrong. I just think over the course of the regular season, I think they're going to see some ups and downs. There might be some growing pains with trying to get this lineup to go together since this acquisition was made. It's not super late in the offseason. It's not like they're trotting out to play their first regular season game next week. But I still think there's some chemistry to be gained between a lot of the guys on the team with this new, a guy that's been the franchise centerpiece in Portland for, 10 years now, however long it's been since he's been drafted. They're definitely winning over 50 games. I put them, 53, 54, 55 wins. I just don't know if, like I said, I don't know if it's going to be super consistent off the bat. There's really no holes in the team, I don't think. There maybe is some concerns with depth, but that's really if you're trying to nitpick a little bit. I like the Bucks. Obviously a top 2 seed. They're coming out of the East, but I have them second in the regular season, which leaves at number 1, the Boston Celtics. So I'm going against what Jeremy said with the 3rd seed. Yes, they may have lost their dog in Marcus Smart and somebody who's their glue guy, their X factor, whatever it is. But I think with the additions that they've made with Kristaps Porzingis, they're bringing back Derek White, they're bringing back Malcolm Brogdon, who hopefully can try and fill the impact that Marcus Smart had, specifically on the defensive end of the court, because I do think that they can easily fill what he does when trying to score. And on top of all that, we have some Al Horford hate going on here, and I'm not his biggest fan either, but I think this is one of the perfect teams for him because it really lets him, now that he can kind of shoot the 3-ball consistently, go out to the corner, while Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, even though Jaylen Brown can't dribble with his left, much like me and Brian Ramos, kind of go around and do their thing out there. I mean, this team is going to be here to stay for a very, very long time. I think this is kind of a bold take for me because there's so much parity at the top of the Eastern Conference. I think any of the 5 teams I said have a decent chance of being a top 2 seed, any of my 1 through 5 teams. But I think Boston, led by Joe Mazzulla, with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown as their centerpieces, if Porzingis stays healthy, I would see them coming close to almost winning 60 games. I think they play a consistent brand of basketball that can be replicated throughout the season. And I'm high in the Celtics. I believe that they're kind of being disrespected after this Bucks trade, and I'm looking forward to see how they respond to that. So my number 1 seed, the Boston Celtics.
Okay. I forgot about Malcolm Brogdon. I forgot about him, but I'm like, okay. He might be. He's sneaky good. He's sneaky good.
Yeah.
Rookie of the year, 6th man of the year as well. So over Quickly, right? Over Emmanuel Quickly last year.
Yes, yeah, because that was the big debate whether it was him or Quickly, and Brian is shaking his head because I know who Brian wanted.
Yeah.
Well, it's not even that. It's just Malcolm Brogdon became the first player ever to win that award playing less than 65 games.
Well, now they have NBA rules now, so they're coming into effect, right? This year or next year? Right?
I believe it's this year.
What, the tanking rule? It's this year.
Yeah.
No, you have to play so many games to win an award.
I think it's like 65 games at least.
That I don't know.
Yeah, it's this year. Yeah.
I wonder why they made that award. I wonder why they made it.
Okay.
I don't think it's so much Brogdon. I think it's M-Bitch.
Or Kawhi or Paul George.
I like that nickname.
M-Bitch. Wow, I've never heard of that nickname. Yeah,
really?
No, I've never heard of that nickname. That's actually... That's nice.
Before I tried to be a professional writer on Twitter, I would always refer to him as that.
bitch.
So let me go delete those tweets. Actually,
awesome. That's gonna be the title.
Joel and
Joel and bitch. Awesome. I like it. That could be the title of today's episode. No, it's not. I don't think so.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, let's walk that back real quick.
All right, everybody. Thank you for watching this rather long episode of our Eastern Conference predictions, as well as us discussing about the Damian Lillard trade. Tell us your predictions in the comments. I mean, I know I had a hot take with Philadelphia being the 9th seed and the Cavs being the 2 seed, but hey, I'm trying to like spice things up. All right, and I see.
I had the Heat at the 3 seed.
I see. That's fucking weird. That's really odd. But yeah, like
takes a lot one from you, pal.
Look, the Heat have nobody. Their off season was shit.
Let's see. Let's wait and see.
It's still the off season, sure, but like they haven't done anything good. Anything good besides draft Jacques.
Let's wait and see. Let's wait and see.
Okay. Let's wait and see. All right. Thanks so much for watching. Please give a like and subscribe and ring the notification bell to not miss another Cut the Nuts episode on your cell phone, computer, whatever device you use to watch us. Pager.
Telegram.
Okay. All right. Pager. That's 90s.
I will. If people want Cut the Nets in Morse code, I will get out my.
That's awesome.
My Telegram.
Yeah. Amazing.
Put it out for them.
We are headed out. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see y'all next time.